How do you design a YouTube thumbnail in Photoshop? I'm going to show you exactly how to do the one that you see here on your screen. Hey, it's Arit here with Essetinomedia. Today, we're going to show you how to create a thumbnail that looks similar to this one here with the gradient background, an image of you where the background is removed, some text, and as well an image below that text that's relevant to the video. So let's get started. The first thing we need to do is create a blank canvas in the dimensions of the YouTube thumbnail. So I'm going to go to File, New, and then you want to create something with a width of 1920 and 1080 for the height. I usually like to put the resolution high, just because I find it's better, that it works better for me that way. The resolution at 72 is fine, RGB mode, 8-bit, all of this is fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on Create, and it's going to give me a canvas, which is the same size as what we have here. So I'll just put it side to side so we can compare the two here. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is create this gradient background. So I'm gonna go to Layers, and then this half colored circle, click on that and select gradient. You can decide, you can play around with any different colors that you want. I'm gonna click on this area here to choose my colors. So this first color, we're gonna make it purple. I'm gonna click OK. This over here, you see how it's transparent, but we want it to be filled in. If that happens to you, all you need to do is click on the opacity tab up here and just increase this to 100. So you can decide the opacity of that color as well. But I'm going to double click on this one and choose my other color somewhere up there. We're going to click OK and OK here as well. And you can also choose the direction of the gradient. So I'm just going to leave it like that. Hit OK. All right, so far so good. Next, we want to include the image of you, and I'll show you how to remove the background like you see here. So I'm going to import this image, and you want to do the same. You want to go to File, Place Embedded, and then find the picture on your desktop computer. I have it right here, ready to go. So I'm going to double click on that. It was actually a screenshot from the video. So I'm going to hit the check mark to place it down. And then I want to select the subject here. So if you don't see this little bar here, because it might just be a shortcut thing, what you want to do is come down to this quick selection tool. So when you click on the quick selection tool, you'll see select subject at the top up here. So you can, either way is fine. I'll just click on it here. Make sure you have this layer of the image selected, and you should, since you just placed it, unless you clicked somewhere else. I'll show you what I mean in a second as that loads up. So if I go into layers, you want to make sure that you actually have the image of you selected before clicking on select subject. So as you can see here, it did a pretty good job of selecting the subject. If for whatever reason, like you see here, it's missed some of my hair, you want to put that back in, you can always use these tools up here, the plus and minus, to add more within the selection or remove within the selection. So right now I have, just going to make this bigger so you can see. So right now I have it on the plus, and if I wanted to add more of the hair, I can just click to include that within the selection, or the minus to just click and remove that from the selection. So you can play around with that. But I like what it did before, so we'll just keep it. I'm just clicking on undo, undo. Yeah, that looks good. And once you're happy with the selection, the next thing you want to do is right click and select inverse. So what it's going to do is going to select everything else, essentially the background besides you, and we're going to delete that. So I'm going to hit delete, and you'll see here it's going to say it can't complete it because it's not directly editable. So we need to flatten this image, and to do that we're going to go to the layers. I'm going to right click on the image and select rasterize layer. So when I come back to hit delete, it's going to delete the background for me. And then I can just click anywhere to click out of it. I'm going to just zoom out. And by the way, I'm using a keyboard shortcut to zoom out. I'm hitting Control- on my keyboard so I can see more of it. Next, I'm going to increase the size of this image. So I'm going to use my Move tool to select that in place. I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Scale, and then I'm going to click and drag. Oh, you see here how it has like, it's selected the outline. So you just need to hit the check mark on that, hit delete on your keyboard to get rid of that, and then click on the image and do that again if that happens to you. All right, let's try that again. There we go. So you can decide how big you want it. I'm just clicking and dragging literally. And I think about there is good. Once you're happy with it, you can hit the check mark. And the next we're going to add the text on this thumbnail. If you want, you can see there's a slight difference between the image here and the image here. It's just because I just adjusted the color of the image a little bit more. If you want to do the same thing, you can click on, make sure you have the image selected, then go to Image, and you can do some brightness adjustments or the color, the hue, saturation, like this, you know, make it a little bit more saturated, hit OK. So that's how you can clean up the image a little bit more. All right, the text. So I'm going to use the text tool over here to the left. I'm going to click on that and then select anywhere on the canvas. And from here, you can choose your font. I'll just leave it on what it is right now. You can also adjust the size. So I'm just going to type this exact same text in, and I'm going to just do the first line for now because you'll notice that these are two separate fonts. If everything is the same font, then you can just hit enter and type in the rest of your text, but I'm going to leave this as is. I'm going to hit the check mark, and again, I want to make it bigger and change the positioning of this. Another shortcut for you is Control T, and it automatically puts those scaling dots around it, which is the same thing as going to Edit and then Transform and Scale. So just so you know. So again, I'm gonna click and drag. I can also, we'll hit check mark over here. I can also go to the character settings here and adjust the spacing between the text. So you see here, I've made it a little bit closer together. I can adjust the size, which I'm just clicking and dragging. The other thing you could do is type a direct number in here or select from what they have here, but I always like to do it like incrementally, like that. Okay, and then next we're going to create that second piece of text, and I'll show you how to tilt it around. So we want a new layer of text, and I'm gonna do post that cell. And you want to really think about the text on the thumbnail to be something different from what you're saying in the title, so that you're using that real estate appropriately and you're using that text on the thumbnail to capture attention. And the purpose of this black bar behind this piece of text is to really highlight the main point of what this video is about. So, or something that is enticing to click on. So this is all about posts that sell. And if that's something that you're interested in, you're going to click on the thumbnail. So I'm going to select this and then change it to this font. Maybe increase the spacing a bit. All right. And then let's increase the size of this. Okay. So we have our two pieces of text, and the next thing we want to do is create this black bar. So I'm going to click on this rectangle, select the rectangle tool. Fill color is black, but you can choose any color you like. The stroke is basically the outline, the color of the outline of the shape that you want, and you can also adjust how thick you want the outline to be, but I'm just going to go with no outline. Now I'm going to click and drag a black bar behind this piece of text. Now you notice here the corners are rounded. That's because I was using rounded corners before. But if you don't want rounded corners, then, or if you do, this is where you would adjust it up here. So I can just put that down to 0, and then let's create that again. There we go. So this time it's straight edges. So I'm gonna click on layers. We're gonna delete this one, and all I need to do is just click and drag that to the trash can. And then I'm going to go to the move tool, put that right there, and then we'll click and drag this layer behind the text so that it sits behind the text like so. And both of these, so this and this, I want it to be behind the photo of me. So I'm going to click and drag my photo up like so. And now all we need to do is just tilt all of the text. So let's bring this a bit closer down. I'm going to select this. This is the text layer. I'm going to hold down the shift key on my keyboard and then click on this one, which is the black bar, and also click on this one, which is the post that sell text, because I want this tilt to happen to all of those layers. Next, I'm going to go to Edit, Free Transform, and then you see how my arrow is like a little bit curved like that? Then I'm going to click and drag it like so. Let's get rid of that. And I can even increase the size of everything from here. There we go. That looks good. Hit the check mark. And you want to make sure that your text is as big as possible on that thumbnail because it shows up very small. Like most people browse YouTube on their mobile. So you want to make sure your text isn't too tiny. So fill up that space. And the last piece here is the images below. So for this particular thumbnail, I just basically took screenshots of posts that I discuss within the video, and I brought them in as images and placed them below and tilted them. But you know, you could do this with anything. Like you could go to pixabay.com or flaticon.com and you can use like any of these icons. So whatever your video is relevant to. My video is talking about posts that sell. So let's just say we want icons to do with content creation. Okay, so you would type in whatever's relevant for your video. Yeah, I like this one. This is cute. So I'm going to click on the icon and you can see I can download it. It's a free download if I attribute the author. So you'll see here, it'll tell me exactly how to attribute or give credit to this. So you could do that and put the attribution in the video description. I already have an account with Flaticon, so I don't need to do that. And when you do have a paid account, you don't need to give that attribution. So I'm just downloading it and then I'll just close out of that and probably choose another one. Let's do this one. So a shortcut way to download it is just clicking on this little thing, clicking on download asset, and then what we'll do is come back into Photoshop and then go to File, Place Embedded. Downloads is where you can find it, and I'll double click on this one. So it's going to bring it right here. I'm just using the keys on my keyboard to kind of move it down into place, and let's bring in the other one. So again, File, Place Embedded, and let's select this. Or I could have chosen an icon that had to do with money, right? Because it's posts that lead to sales. I'm just showing you the icon way because this might not necessarily be relevant to most of you, taking screenshots of posts and putting them on your thumbnail. So that's why I'm showing you this way. You can see there isn't much contrast between the black icons and the gradient background. So what I want to do is change the color of these, and I can do that by going to layers and double clicking on each of these icons. So this is the first one, and I'm just going to move that so we can see. I can click on color overlay and then change this to whatever color. It could be white. You can see here it's changing on the side. It could be like maybe a light blue, you know, however you want to do it. Or you could also overlay it with a gradient instead of a specific color. So let's go to gradient. This might be nice. And I'll do like a dark blue to a light blue, and then I can adjust how much, you know, the scale of the gradient, like so. Let's see what that looks like. It's still kind of hard to see, so I might have, you know, play around with the colors. Maybe white would just be ideal. It really depends on what colors you're using in the gradient behind it looks like. So I might just go back in here, double click on that again. We'll just stick with the white. So I'm going to click on, or the blue. Actually, this is a nice blue, so I'll stick with that. And then if you want to use the exact same color that you had on one icon and copy it over to another, you can right click, select copy layer style, and then click on your other icon layer, right click again, paste layer style. So it's just going to use the exact same thing. Or you could just double click on that and then choose a different color, however you like. So there you have it. And you can, you know, do the Control T shortcut again to kind of shift it around, shift the positioning around, shift the size of the icons. Whoops, it's going kind of crazy here. Let me just make that smaller, and just really make it your own, and hit the check mark once you're done. So that's how you design a YouTube thumbnail in Photoshop. And once you're happy with it, all you need to do is just go to File, Save a Copy. You would just name the file. Make sure you save it as a Photoshop file as well, because that would be the editable file that you can always reopen and just use it as a template to make your other thumbnails. So save it first as a PSD, then do the same thing, go File, Save as Copy, and you can change this to a JPEG or a PNG. And that would be the file that you would then go and upload into your YouTube video. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. And by the way, we specialize in growing educational YouTube channels. So if you're interested in having us audit your YouTube channel, I'll include that link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.